Alright, so here's your pro tip then on solving question number 3 on the Trig-Star test using the CT method. You're going to just set yourself up a system of equations. You're going to graph these things, and your system's going to always look like this. Y equals the top side over the sine of x, and for the second one is always the right side over the sine of a minus x. And that's a pretty simple thing for you to remember. Or if you were just to write down something like this in your notes, you get to use that on Trig-Star. So let's try to solve this system of equations by hand, like not using the graphing calculator and doing it by graphing. Now you wouldn't want to do this on the Trig-Star, of course, because it would take you too much time. So instead, we're just going to do this just as an exercise in pre-calculus. So since I don't want to have to keep writing these numbers down again, I'm just going to call that T because that was the top side, and I'll call this R because that was the right side. Since they're both equal to Y, they must both be equal to themselves. So I've got, oh, I said I'm not going to write it down, and then I started to. Alright, so T over the sine of x is equal to R over sine of a minus x. And you can see that kind of looks like the law of sines there. Alright, it's just a proportion. To solve a proportion, we set our cross products equal to each other. So one of them is t times the sine of a minus x. That should be equal to r times the sine of x. On this portion, we're going to use the difference formula for sine. So the left hand simplifies as t, put parentheses, sine a cosine x. Since this is a difference here, for sine it stays a difference, and then I just switch my angles. Sine x cosine a equals r sine x. Right, now I'm just going to distribute the t through. T sine a cosine x minus t sine x cosine a. So I'm going to go ahead and group up the sine x's together. So I need to get this one on the left side over to the right side by just adding that term. So t sine a cosine x equals t sine x cosine a plus r sine x. They both have a factor of sine x, so I'm going to pull that out. Factor it out. T sine a cosine x. Pull out my sine x and be left with t cosine a plus r tar. Anyway, I'm going to get rid of this stuff that's in parentheses by just dividing it over to the other side. And I'm going to switch sides also. So I'm going to put the sine x on the left side equals, the top will be the left side of the original equation, t sine a cosine x over t cosine a plus r. Now one more step. I've got an x on this side and I got an x on this side. I have to have them both on the same side, so I'm just going to take this cosine x. To get it to the left side, I just have to divide both sides by cosine x. So this becomes sine x divided by cosine x. And on the top, we're going to have the top times the sine of a over top cosine a plus the right side. If I were going to write these in numbers that are up top, I would write that as 504.27 sine of a, which I stored into my calculator, of course, and on the bottom it'd be 504.27 cosine a plus my right side, which is 265.56. And the last thing is sine over cosine. We use an identity, and let's just call that tan x. In order to find the x, then, the angle measurement, we would just take the inverse tangent of that quantity.